Most of us know the Taylor Swift song, Hi, It's Me, Hi.
No problem, it's me.
Yeah, there you go. But the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs might disagree with her. Apex Marketing Group says the Swift factor has created an equivalent brand value of $331.5 million for the NFL and her boyfriend's team, the Chiefs. For more analysis of Swift's impact, I want to bring in Mariana Alfaro. She's a breaking political news reporter for The Washington Post. So, Mariana, the question in the teleprompter says, how do you explain this phenomena? I don't think there's, it doesn't define, it's very easy. Yeah. Taylor Swift is one of the most popular people on the planet.
Yeah. Maybe the most popular person on the planet. And you might be wondering why I'm a politics reporter talking about this, but she's actually starting to have an impact on politics now. And I think that's the next stage for her. Maybe not running for office, but just, all eyes are on who she's going to endorse in the presidential race. I know we're a little early in that, but that's kind of why she's making headlines now, because a lot of conservative pundits are kind of, worried or maybe already concerned that she could endorse President Biden, and that would, kind of have all her Swifties maybe influence their opinion come November.
There's a new survey from LendingTree that came out this week. It says 75% of Americans will tune into the Super Bowl. They're going to spend $116 on average on food and drinks and other items. And the U.S. Travel Association did the math when it comes to Swift's Eras Tour. It estimates that people spent more than $10 billion on things directly and indirectly related to the concerts. At a time where people, are feeling their feelings about the U.S. economy, it's not that great. Why is Swift such a strong factor? Those tickets were super expensive to go to that tour, and even though people were really concerned about, are we heading into a recession, back then in the summertime, we didn't know, they sure found the money for those tickets.
Yeah, I think the average ticket was about $500 for $100. And again, I didn't see any tickets at that price. I think I was seeing like $2,000 tickets. But Taylor did bring in, I think it was $5.7 billion to the American economy just from the Eras Tour. She took home $4.1 billion, so good for her. But she almost brought in, $6 billion to the rest of America. And I think it's just because, there's this feeling that there hasn't really been an artist like her, I guess, in recent history. There's definitely Beyonce, who also had a big impact on the American economy with her tour this year. But it's just like a very big, loyal fandom. And I think that, I've been talking to experts about, figures like this, and there's nothing really like her, especially with young women who have their own, money now. A lot, you think of teen girls who follow Taylor Swift, but we're also talking about 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds who have been listening to her for decades at this point. And they have the money and the spending power to use it on Taylor Swift. And that's kind of part of the reason why we're seeing this. So
let's talk a little bit more about what you were saying earlier about her potential impact on politics. As you know, the New York Times reported this week that President Biden's campaign is going after her endorsement. Of course, that's not a surprise. Her one Instagram post last fall led to 35,000 new voter registrations.
Wow.
So knowing what you know about the fan base, here's a couple of questions for you. Why are Republicans melting down over this? It's really kind of weird to watch. Look, I like Taylor Swift, I like her music, but the notion that it seems as if they are well aware that she might be able to sway the election, so they're coming out and attacking her, saying, she's just a pop culture phenomena. Why should people take their cues from her? Meanwhile, the irony is completely lost on folks that, Donald Trump was a businessman that we knew about here in New York City, but he became a pop culture phenomena on The Apprentice.
Reality TV.
Right? I don't. Are they sort of shooting themselves in the foot by making this such a big deal that in turn you might alienate those people who are kind of on the fence about stuff?
Yes, and specifically a very, very important group that Republicans need to convince in November is young women. Also young men, but young women who are increasingly more liberal than their generations before them, and they really, really like Taylor Swift. That's a group that, Republicans should be trying to get on their side. And the thing about a Swift endorsement, she endorsed Biden in 2020. Again, she did it at a point where I don't really think it had an impact on that race. But now, the Biden campaign needs young people to show up and vote, and they are not feeling energized, and they're feeling very not excited about this election. And I think that having someone like Taylor Swift saying, this is a very important election and you should participate, that could make a really big difference now. We are seeing, numbers saying that There's a lot of concerns that young people have when we're talking about the election. One of them is abortion rights, and there's Taylor Swift saying she supports abortion rights. She very much has become this figure for young women, and I think that Republicans are concerned that if she does come out and endorse Biden and participates in the campaign, they might really have a problem because young people are going to show up to vote. And right now, part of the strategy for them is kind of hoping that young people don't show up to vote.
Yeah, look, it seems disingenuous. If Taylor Swift were potentially going to endorse former President Donald Trump, I'm sure Republicans would be very, very happy to have that endorsement. As it is, both groups, Democrats and Republicans, love to tout. On one hand, they say, oh, celebrities, who cares what they think?
Right.
They're out of touch like millionaires. But on the other, both Democrats and Republicans love that James Woods, one of my favorite actors, is actively promoting Republican policies and Republican candidates. And Democrats love it when, somebody that Bruce Springsteen gets up there and campaigns for. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it can make a huge difference. I mean, if we're talking about 2008, when Oprah showed up to support Obama, a lot of people were saying, I'm not here for Obama, I'm here for Oprah. And that kind of made a difference back then, too.
I remember that.
There's always that impact. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Mariana, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.